Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to a tarot card reading for you guys about what's happening in your month of April. I'm using the Animal Orion's tarot deck, and I wanted to get the main energies and main issues and themes in your particular month of April, because on my TikTok, I have already uploaded the videos for you of the month of April week by week, looking at every single week in the month of April. So I thought I would just kind of do an extra April reading and see what we have as your main energies. Now, because I'm letting the cards be laid out right here in a random kind of sense, we will see what this is about. It could be life, education, career, finances, love. Once we get into this reading, we'll kind of see more about what is going on for your main event. And I know that each one of you is different and dealing with different things in your life. So we will do our best to tackle each of the different areas. Now, as I lay these cards out here, there's a couple things that I think are really interesting. Like what stands out at the heart of this reading is this card here, the Ten of Swords, in the reversal position. Now, this deck is the Animal Orion's tarot deck. It is based off of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith system. So we're going to interpret this tarot with that combination and Rider-Waite-Smith sense in mind here. And if you know anything about the Ten of Swords, it is an ending of a situation, but it is usually a harsh one. It can talk about situations of sorrow, of grief, endings that are connected to loss. But a lot of times in the reversal position, it can be circumstances of betrayal of all things. You know what, though? No, let me correct that statement here. That's more so in the upright still. The Ten of Swords is actually unique because, again, it can have a really heavy energy to it, but it's fascinating now that I think about it. The Ten of Swords, according to Arthur Edward Waite, as he understood it over 100 years ago, that was a card of profit and success of all things. I was just reminded of that because it's sitting next to the Sun card here. We'll get to that Sun card in a second. But the Ten of Swords, the thing is that with the Ten of Swords being about profit and advancement and success, it is success that is never permanent. It's temporary. It's like a boost. And so being that the Ten of Swords can have a connection to such difficulties and endings in the upright position, things that are very grief-like, things that are concerning sorrow or betrayals and things like that, the success that you might find that you have at some point in April could be on the back of a difficulty. Like having something that came to an end, or having a circumstance where you dealt with something that was a loss or a betrayal, or somebody crossed you, you finalized something, but it didn't feel sweet, it didn't feel successful, and then afterwards in the month of April, you get some kind of a boost in that area where you thought there was a loss. And I also think that it's interesting with the Sun card right next to it, that the Sun card, that in the upright and in the reversal, that is a card of very good omens towards success, promises of revelation, and it is in the reversal. So the revelation and the information that you're getting is not quite here yet, but it comes shortly. Because if you think about it, the sun as a celestial object, when it's down or when it has set, it takes its time to switch itself over and rise back up again. And when it rises, the sun allows us to see everything in front of us. So I think that there's almost this indication here that the situation that could have been a loss or could have been a betrayal, you didn't see it coming, that there's actually going to be a benefit for that situation coming in the future in the month of April. Something else that I find is really interesting here in this reading is that you have 3 cards connected to motherhood qualities. So for some of you, the loss or the thing that was a betrayal could have happened within a family unit or somebody who's really close to you. The reason I say that is because the Empress card is the penultimate mother. She is Eve in the garden of the the earthly Eden. In the concepts of Arthur Edward Waite, there was a heavenly Garden of Eden and there was an earthly Garden of Eden. And the Empress card historically governs and takes charge over the earthly paradise, the things of mothership here in earth, how we birth our children, not necessarily just a spiritual birth, right? But like actually being a mom. In the reversal position, the motherhood card of the Empress takes on a difficulty of nurturing and self-nurturing. That could be said quite literally in the statement of a mother who wasn't good at nurturing. That could show up, though, as mothers, grandmothers, women in positions of authority around you. If it's not motherhood qualities, the Queen of Cups is the one who renders service. It could be a service representative that dealt with a family issue like a social worker. There could have been a betrayal facet that happened in line with somebody who was in a family dynamic, or maybe a representative that dealt with a family matter of some sort. Some of those could be, again, social workers with family dynamics, wills and things like that, estates, court situations, divorce situations. Think, again, representatives of family circumstances. Even the medical concepts that people have, sometimes it feels like a representative that dealt with health matters. If there was a family member who was in hospice, or a child who had some kind of a situation, there could have been a service representative that at one point there was a feeling of betrayal, but the Queen of Cups is in the reversal, or pardon me, in the upright now. That's in the honorable position. The Empress is in the reversal. That's someone who had a difficulty with nurturing the situation. And a moment of success that's coming with that dynamic. If it's not a person who felt like, took part in a loss or a betrayal, it could have been like, there's no health cards here, but it's almost like betraying the self, because the Empress card has self-nurturing qualities. There could have been a parent or a person in a position of authority who betrayed their moral compass. They did something that they might have thought was good and they thought was honorable, but it was, it didn't allow for the abundance to come in with the Empress card. And the Empress card, she's usually depicted with the concept of a cornucopia at her feet, which means overflowing abundance and nurturing qualities, the ability to nurture oneself. Or in this case with the Six of Cups, nurture one's family or nurture oneself in terms of wisdom. So we come back to the idea of somebody who could have been communicating a service or representative of some sort, and they were communicating some kind of wisdom or knowledge, sharing information that at some point did not bring abundance, but is the main theme focus of this here Ten of Swords and Sun aspect. And now the whole reading starts to make that much more sense when you look at that Ten of Swords in that way. See again, people look at the Ten of Swords, and it's easy to see that. It's easy to even see why I almost forgot it for a second there. That the Ten of Swords gets such a bad reputation for difficulties because it's a difficult image. And remember, in tarot, we are looking at the functions of the symbols, the functional symbolism on each of the cards. And when you see in this Animal Orion's deck somebody who's getting completely pierced, or rather a starfish who is, being completely pierced, or in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, it's not a starfish, it's a human who's been essentially persecuted, executed. It's a heavy depiction. And it's unique how that Ten of Swords becomes a card of power and success and profit and advancement in the reversal position. One might say, how the heck did Arthur Edward Waite get that idea of profit and advancement from that card with that image when he described it over 100 years ago? And it's because the Ten of Swords, the person who's persecuted, is the lower class in traditional tarot on the Ten of Swords. Remember, that card usually has a depiction of a person who's been executed, and it is not a king who's been executed. It's a member of the laymen. It's a common folk, right? It's like you and me. It's a picture of one of our people. It's not the kings and queens. If we look at the death card, we can see a king that's been executed on that card, right? Or if we look at the Visconti tarot, one of the oldest tarot in the world, like the Wheel of Fortune card. There's a king that goes up and a king that goes down, right? It's this idea that power goes up in life, but eventually the people in positions of power, they meet their fate at some point. They say beggars become kings and kings become beggars. And you guys know I love giving you the traits of historical tarot when we talk about that. When we talk about any tarot readings that I do here, or when you're getting a private reading. And the Ten of Swords brings that insinuation. If the common folk is the one who was executed, then in the reversal position, it was the person in power that did the execution. And that's why the Ten of Swords brandishes the idea through the lens of Arthur Edward Waite, the Rider-Waite-Smith creator, that that card in the reversal does bring profit and advancement. It's the advancement of a person in a position of power. So in this case, we've got the queen right next to it, a person in a position of power. But that particular queen, she deals with service. She is called the one who brings service to another. She's usually very selfless. So it's almost unique to see her next to a card of advancement for power when she's the kind of person who advances things for selflessness. But a person like you and me, a common folk, sometimes we exist inside of the system. And every now and then the universe says, hey, I'm going to give them a leg up. I'm going to give them the position of power and them the great revelation. This success that you get, I think, is going to be in the form of wisdom and information that is relayed to you, because these two cards are about information in terms of wisdom and knowledge. That's why the six has the two depictions of these two on the front of it. It's lambs on this deck, but in traditional tarot, it's two people sharing. Two children. One child is usually older than the other, and it denotes this aspect of wisdom. And it reminds me of the statement, with great power comes great responsibility, but also the biblical theological concept that you can't have wisdom without knowledge, and you can't use knowledge well without the wisdom to back it up. You need both of them. So again, whatever you gain, it's almost like the information that comes in to resolve a situation. It comes in the form of just that, knowledge and wisdom. Somebody communicates information to you, and it makes this situation with family that much more successful, or the services that have to do with the family situation that much more successful. Just remember, though, that the Ten of Swords in the reversal, unlike the Ten of Pentacles or the Ten of Cups, it is temporary success. It doesn't mean that the success that you get in April with this potential family dynamic, or if it's not family, again, the queen insinuates somebody in a position of authority. So your bosses, people in higher ups, your landlord, whoever it is that allowed you to get into this position of like feeling like you couldn't nurture yourself. It doesn't mean that the position of success, once it's over, because again, it's a temporary success, right? It doesn't mean that it goes down into the depths of despair. It doesn't mean you're removed of everything down to the pit of like, oh no, what goes up must crash completely down. No, it'll probably have a baseline. You'll probably have the success, and then you'll just kind of live with it for a little bit. And then some things might get a little better. Some things might get a little worse, but it's not a situation that's going to fall into a tower moment. There's no tower energy in this reading. It's just a blip of success. You use it for the knowledge and the wisdom that comes in, and then you move forward. And then at some point later on down the road, you'll face another either success or crash, like everybody does in life with what it is that they're doing, right? Or baseline or flatline or plateau. What goes up must come down. What goes down comes back up again. What goes up again, maybe sometimes it just stays still for a little bit of time and then it goes back up again. See, life isn't perfectly cyclical. There's fluctuations to the polarities that exist in the world. So sometimes things are temporary success and then they just kind of pause a little bit. So don't anticipate the worst once the success is done with, but so be grateful for the success when it comes in and use it methodically when it comes in, because you might have a little bit of a break, a little bit of pause. Things might not be as successful for a little bit of time. until sometime later on when a blip of success happens again. I'm going to leave you off with that. And if you're interested, I just want to let you know I do have, for this entire month of March, a St. Patrick's Day sale going on. Any 2 questions, that's love, pregnancy, career, travel, anything that you'd like that, full readings, random readings, any 2 questions for only $10. That's at the link in my bio. And that'll be until the final day of this month. Or, of course, you can join me on TikTok, where I have some more of your readings available for you in life and love. And that's everything, guys. Many blessings to you in this, and keep me posted on what's going on. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great day. Bye for now.